All right. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everyone. Very first, thank you so much, Josh and team and AngularNL team for providing me this opportunity to share my learning about dependency injection and services in Angular. So DI is a very big topic, and of course, we cannot cover everything in 30 minutes. So today we would focus on what is new in Angular 9 and 10, and mainly we would focus that how services works in lazy loaded modules. So my name is Dhananjay Kumar, and we are going to follow this agenda where we'll explore various providing options, mainly any and root, and then we'll talk about singleton and tree-shakable services. And we would not do huge class, huge existing today, but then we'll jump to using services in lazy loaded modules. So if you are new to the dependency injection and services, dependency injection is a coding pattern, it's a design pattern in that which which a class asks for a dependencies for an external source rather than creating itself. So for example, if you have a class called car, it needs object of engine. It would not create that object directly, and it would ask some external entity, which is called DI container, to create that object. And the Matt Fowler, who first came up with this idea of dependency injection, he says that saying an application is special because it supports dependency injection is like saying a car is special because it supports wheel. So every application should have dependency injection in that. By design, keeping that in mind, by design, Angular supports dependency injection, and it has its own DI framework. So for example, if you are in .NET or Java, you need some external libraries to work with dependency injection. However, Angular understands the importance of dependency injection, and by default, it is supported in the design of it. You don't have to do anything for that. And I'll leave you here with the theory of dependency injection. You can go and learn more about it, what is DI and inversion of control. Today, we would focus mainly on writing code in Angular about DI and services. So before we move ahead, I'm going to use two words a lot today in next half an hour. Those words are tree-shakable and singleton. Now, what is tree-shakable service? A tree-shakable service means, or anything is a tree-shakable means if that is not being used, it would not become part of final output bundle. So for example, if you have a service called ABC service, you have created that in the application, but if you are not using it anywhere in the application, Angular is smart enough, if you follow a certain guidelines and configuration, to identify that, hey, even though this service is created, it is not being used anywhere, and it would not make that as a part of the final bundle such that your bundle size is less. And that feature is called tree-shakable. And tree-shakable has nothing to do with Angular. It is a generic software engineering term. So that is the one word. And the second word is the singleton service, which I'm going to use a lot. Singleton services means there will be only one object, one instance of that service. That is called a singleton service. Again, this is a design pattern. So mainly we would understand that if we create a service in Angular, how many objects would be created for that service if we use that in the lazy loaded modules and all that. All right, so these are the steps to create a service. You create a service, you provide a service, you inject the service, and you use the service. You can create a service using Angular CLI, and you can provide a service in these two ways. You can provide a service inside a providers array. A module has a providers array, a component has a providers array, or you can use provide a service using providing property. And we are going to focus mainly on providing property of injectable today. So there are four values for providing: root, any, module, and platform. And we've covered root and any in the code. And root was part of Angular v6, and any, module, and platform became part in version 9. And there are four types of providers: huge class, huge existing, and huge factory, and huge value. So these are the steps to create a service, and we are going to create a service and see that. All right. So let us. This is the theory I had. Now I am going to write code to show you that how a service works and all. So what I have done here already, I have created an Angular application, and in the Angular application, I have added two component, child1 and child2, and then I have added a service. To add a service on the command prompt, you just using the Angular CLI, you just have to say ngc, and let's say you want to create a service called app. If you run this command, Angular would create Angular CLI would create a service for you. So using that command, I have created a service called log service. All right, and then I have created two components. Those are very simple components, nothing in it, and we are using those components in the app component like this. All right, so at this point of time, if you run the application, application should look like this: a tree-shakable service in lazy loaded modules. Child1 works, child2 works. We are going to create our app on top of this. All right, so next what I'm going to do, let us first write some code inside our service. So for that, here in the service, let's go to log service.ts, and here I'm saying this is the code. So what I am doing here, log service, and I created a static variable. A static variable means this variable would be shared across all the objects of this service, and then just in the constructor I'm printing that. Why I'm doing that? Because I want to show you how many objects are being created. And you know that as many times object would get created, Angular would call the constructor of the service. So inside that, we are just increasing the count and printing that. After that, here you see that in line number 3, I have put just a simple console log that I'm included in the bundle. Why I have put that? Using that, I'm going to show you that how tree shaking works. And then simple as say hello method, which would return a hello and name. Now in this service, which we have created using Angular CLI, the providing option is set to root, which is the default behavior. When you create Angular service using CLI, this is what you get providing equal to root. And now to use this service is pretty simple. Let's go ahead and so before I move ahead and show you something, you see that this console.log I have created this service, but as of now I'm not using this service anywhere. Keep that in mind. Now to use this service, what I'm going to do in the let me go to child2 component, and in the child2 component.ts, I'm just saying that hey, I want to use that log service. So here, just log service injecting this. This is the way you inject a service, and then we are calling the service say hello, passing child2, and putting that in the message. Now you can go ahead and update the message in the child2 component.html like this. In the same way, you can let's do that for child1. So child1 component here, and go to the child1.component.ts and call the service again. So to call the service, in the child1 component, we'll just take from child2 from here, exactly the same code, and put it into the child1 as well. Okay, so what I'm doing, nothing fancy. If you are an experienced Angular developer, you know I'm just calling the service in two different components. Now we have called the service in two different components, and if we run this, you see that we are getting hello child1 and hello child2, which is expected. Now I press F12, and here you see in F12 you are getting this message, I am included in the bundle, and number of objects created 1. What the message, what I'm trying to convey you, that I am using that log service at two places, in two components, child1 component and child2 component. But Angular is creating only one object of that. Means the service which you create by default using Angular CLI is Singleton service. That is one thing you need to keep in mind. Singleton means doesn't matter how many times you are using it, there will be only one object of that. And I'm included in the bundle because, of course, we are using this service. So this service is included in the bundle. Now, let me show you the tree shaking thing. So what I'm going to do, I'll go and comment this. So you see that in child1 component and as well as in the child2 component, what I'm doing here, I just commented where I'm using the service. So now I have created that service, but not using anywhere. We have a log service in our application, but it is not being used inside this application. And now you let's go and run the application. And here we are running that application. Of course, we will not get any output. But here also in the log, in the console of browser, you are not getting that message that I'm included in the bundle. What does it mean? It means that this service is tree-shakable service. Log service, which we created using Angular CLI, is tree-shakable. Since it is not used inside the application, Angular identified that, and Angular did not make it as part of the final bundle. And since it is not part of the final output bundle, you are not getting that console.log tree which that I'm included in the bundle. So this is what the second characteristics, that the service which you create using Angular CLI is Singleton, and it is tree-shakable. Right now you see that you are not getting that message. Okay, so that is the default behavior, but if you want, you can change that behavior. And for that, what I'm going to do here, let's go to right here in the log service, and let's get rid of this default thing. So I'm creating that log service, but I'm going to provide it manually. And for that, I'm in the app module, and in the provider, I'll say log service. So you remember that you can provide it using provider array or providing option. So here I'm using the same service. Everything is exactly the same, but I'm providing it using the provider's array. Keep in mind, still I'm not using that service anywhere. I just provided it at the application module level, and I'm back here, and you see that still that service is being not used anywhere. That's why I'm not getting the output. But please notice this thing, I'm included in the bundle. What does it mean? That if you provide service in provider's array, that service is not tree-shakable. I repeat, if you provide the service in the provider's array, that service is not tree-shakable. If you provide that service in providing option, using the providing option, that service is tree-shakable. So you see that right now, I'm not using log service anywhere in the application, but since I have provided it using the provider's array of application module, the service has not reset. Angular has not reset that service, and the service is part of the application, even if it is not being used. And that's the reason you are getting this I included in the bundle. So that is one thing you need to keep in mind, that providing tree-shakable, provider's array, not tree-shakable. Keep that in mind always. Let us move ahead. Other thing we talked about the Singleton service, right? That the service which we create is Singleton, means there is always only one object of that. Well, that is the default behavior, but that is also not true. How? Let me go here, let's say to child2 component.ts, and every component also has a provider's array. So here I'm saying providers, and I'll pass that log service again. So what I'm doing, I'm providing that log service at two places, one at the application module level and one at the component level. All right, and let's uncomment these things. Now we are using this. Go to child1 component, TS, and use it. All right, but keep in mind we are providing at the two places, and right here you see that service is being used. You are getting I'm included in the bundle, but the number of objects created, please notice here, notice my mouse point. The number of objects created are 2. Now it's not a single object, there are 2 objects. So by default it's Singleton, but if you provide it at more than one places, the way we are doing at the application module level and in some other places, Angular is going to create more objects for that. So if you are providing a service in 4 providers array, Angular is going to create 4 objects for that. So this is clear to you. So by now, what is Singleton and how to configure Singleton, how to not configure Singleton, what is tree-shakable service, if we provide in providing option, that is tree-shakable. If we provide it in provider's array, that is not tree-shakable. These things should be clear to you. All right, so now let's move to our lazy loaded thing. And for that, what I'll do, just I'll go to child2 and get rid of this. All right, so now we are providing that. Now let me go and show you that how services works in lazy loaded models. If you do not understand what is lazy loaded models are those models which gets downloaded when your application needs them. So to do that, let's go there. So first, what we'll do, we will add two lazy loaded modules in the application. So for that, let me just get the commands so that we don't waste time writing those commands. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to add I'm going to add here some lazy loaded models in my application. All right, so here I am, and to add a lazy loaded module, you need to just run a command. This command, you can get it from this Angular CLI command, will add a lazy loaded module called customers in our application. So here we are adding customers, and then let's add one more lazy loaded module called order. So here we added two lazy loaded modules. And after that, okay, so here we added that. Let's go back to let us go back to now app.component.html. And to do that, what we are going to do, we are adding three buttons. One button will get us customer, one button is order, and one is for home. All right, and then let's add one default path that should be added in app routing module. So here you see that already when we ran that command, these paths being added to our route by Angular by running that command, the command which I just ran. All right, so here I am. I'll just put one more default path. All right, so here we are, and let me go and just run the application again to check whether our lazy loaded modules are configured correctly or not. So here what we are doing, we are creating lazy loaded modules, and then we'll pass those service and then see that how we can pass different data with the service in these lazy loaded modules, and how many objects are getting created, and whether those services are tree-shakable or not. All right, so here we are running it. All right, so compile successfully and run this here. So we have these customers, orders, and home. And please focus here in the network. I will here I'll clear it, and then I'll record it. Here it is recording again. So you see that we are on the home page. So these things got downloaded, and here I'm showing you what is lazy loaded models. Now, when I click on customers, see the customer works, that component is being downloaded. The URL is changed, and here in the bottom, you can see the customer module is downloaded. Means it is getting downloaded when you are using it. Then when you click on orders, then order module is getting downloaded, and in the top, you are getting this order works here. So we are able to configure a lazy loaded module in our application. Now let's see that how. Let us see that how we can work with services in that. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'll just say HR here. All right, now to use the service, again, go to orders component. And here you see that it has added orders and customers. So simple log service. All right, and then same in the log service here, you see that go and say message. Same we'll do for the customers. The same do for the customers as well here, and then customers. And in the customers.component.ts, let's call the service. So here we are calling the service, the same log service in the customers. All right, so now when we, what we did, we just using that log service in customer models and order models. And now when we run this application, go to console and click it, so here in the customers, you see that hello lazy loaded customers, orders, hello lazy loaded orders, home. All right. And please focus here. There's only one object being created. Can you notice that? So even if it is a lazy loaded modules, if you have provided that module a service at the app module level or using the providing equal to root, there would be only one object created and it will work exactly as if it is working in a normal module. So far so good. You don't have to do anything. It's working perfectly fine. The problem arises when you need to pass dynamic data, and let's see that. Let's pass the dynamic data for that. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a file in my application super quick. I'm not sure how much time I have left. I guess I have still 10 minutes. 10 to 15 minutes I should have. All right. So here what I'm doing, I'm adding one file called apiconfig.ts. And this file, let's say that it just contains one interface which has two properties, endpoint and token. Next, let us go and add one more file to our application, which will provide value to this interface. And let us call that as, okay, so we'll go here and add it, and let us call that as API config value.ts. And in this API config value.ts, we'll provide, we'll create a token to inject that API config, and we'll use value. So this is the way you can create injector token in Angular. Just use inject token, pass the name, type of the token, and then this is the description. This is a description of the token. All right. So here we are. We have created that API config value.ts. Now let's see that how we can use it. So to use that, what I'm going to do, let's go to log service.ts, and in the log service.ts, in the constructor, we'll pass this. Okay, so right here, let's say inject API config value from API config value and inject, take it from the Angular core. All right, and then we'll add one more function which will return us that API config value, and let us call that as get value. All right, so we just injected that API config in the log service, and then we are returning. When we call that get value, we should be able to return that. All right, and then let's go to app.module, and here pass that value for API config, and then you can inject that token like this. So here, and then we'll say that providers API config value. So what I'm doing, I'm just creating object of API config and then injecting it. All right. So now let us use that this token, this value abcg.com and token in every place. So super quick. We don't have to do anything. Just the way we are. We done that. So go to customers, go to customer component.ts, and say API value any. And then we'll say this dot API value is this dot log service dot get value. It will get us, and then quickly we can display that in the HTML here. So we'll say end API endpoint and value, and same we would do for the orders. So order component HTML. All right. And there also we will call and this API value any. All right, and then take this API value and let's do that for one of the child component as well. So here in the child, we'll say child1. All right, and here we'll say API value any, and this would be log service. Sorry, this should be log service, this one. All right, and last thing what we'll get rid of child2, we'll get rid of child2 component. And last thing what we can do, we'll take this customer HTML and then we'll put it here. So what I'm doing here, actually, I'm just using the service which we just created and using it in 3 components, in 2 lazy loaded module and 1 main module. And let's now run this. Now when you run this application, so the thing is that 1 object is getting created, that is fine. But if you click on customers, you have abc.com. If you click on order, you have abc.com and token. Click on home, you have abc.com and token. Now we have a question last 7 to 8 minutes of our demo, that what if we want different value for endpoint and token for customer module, for main module, and for orders module? So how we can do that? And to do that, of course, we need to pass that in different modules. And so to do that, what I'm going to do, let's go to first order module. And here we are saying that, hey, order modules.ts in. So here in order module.ts, what I'm saying that, hey, I have different value for that, which is order.com and some value. All right. And then what we will do, we need to provide that. So here we'll take the providers and pass in the order modules, all right, and API config value. In the same way, let's say that we have different value for the customer module. And so for that, here we are, go to customer module.ts, pass this value, customer.com, all right, and API config, all right. And there also we got to provide that, which we will provide it here. So you see that now we have different values for the token for customer module and order module. But if you run this application, you see, if you run this application here, for the home, you are getting abc.com. For the customers also, you are getting abc.com. And for the orders, you are getting abc.com.
Hey, Dhananjay, sorry,
yes.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I think you're going a little bit fast for some people to follow. I think you're having a very good speed and a very good pace on your talk. If you could just slow down a little bit. Sorry for interrupting, but I'm getting some feedback in the comments that some people are struggling to keep up.
Sure. So what we are trying to do here mainly, so I'll just revise how much time I have just left.
Sorry, take your time. Take your time. We made a new schedule already, so please take the time you need.
Okay, so I'll just revise again. I'm sorry I was just thinking to cover a lot in 30 minutes. All right, so from where I started that in the service, in Angular, you create service to share code between and functionality between components and directives. Now, when you create a service using Angular CLI command, by default, those services are Singleton and tree-shakable. So when you create a service using Angular CLI, you see that provide in equal to root. You get that by default. And providing equal to root means that service is tree-shakable and that service is Singleton. Now, if you want, we can reconfigure that. So everything is same, but if you take that service and don't provide using providing equal to root, but provide it in the application label, use in the providers array, then everything would be same, but that service is now no longer a tree-shakable service. When I say tree-shakable, means if service is not used, Angular would not make it part of the final bundle. That is tree-shakable service. And you already have seen the demo of that. After that, what we did for the Singleton, that by default it is Singleton, but if you provide that service in multiple providers array of any module or component, Angular is going to create that many objects of that. So that is one thing you need to keep in mind. So we done that. Then we move to lazy loaded modules. So if it is a lazy loaded modules, if you are following Singleton and if you don't have to pass different values in those lazy loaded modules for the service, it would work perfectly fine. But now our requirement is that in the service, we are injecting a configuration. Let us say that service is making an API call, and you need to pass different endpoint and token for different modules, which you see in our scenario right now. That for order module, the endpoint is orders.com. For customer module, the endpoint is customers.com, and for the whole module, the endpoint is home.com. So how we can do that? You saw that right now where we are, that for that what we did, we created a lazy loaded module, and then we are passing that different token, different value for the configuration in the modules of customer, in the modules of orders, and then we are injecting them also here. However, still Angular is not picking that. If you see, still we are getting the same value which is injected at the application module level. I'm still getting abc.com for all of them. Now, how I can solve it? So to solve it, one way to solve it is I can come here and then I'll say that, hey, I want to provide log service. So you see that I provided log service once again. So now log service is provided at the application level, and log service in this case is provided at the customer module level as well. All right, but I'm not providing it in the order module. So log service is only provided at the customer module. Now please notice the output. So here, all right, now you see that, let me run it here. I'm going to customers. You see, for the customers is customer.com. You are getting a different value now. But for orders, it is still abc.com, because we have not provided explicitly for orders module. So order module is taking it from the application module. However, for customers, we provided that, which you just saw here. See, in the customer modules, we provided that. And you are getting different value. In the same way, if you want for order module, you can go and say, hey, I want it for log service for order modules as well. And here we done that. And it should solve our problem. Here we are right now. Customers, you are getting customer.com. Orders, you are getting orders.com. Home. You have three different values for the configuration for different modules. And in the bottom, you can see that it is creating three objects, 1, 2, 3. And that is obvious because we are providing log service in three different providers as we have been discussing. And it is saying that I am included in the bundle. Everything is fine. Everything is working perfectly fine. All right. But let me do again one thing. And since we have time, I'll go to let's say order component.ts. Here, let me go to customer component.ts, and we are using this. Let me comment this line. All right, and let's see what's happening. Okay, in the customer, we are getting nothing. In orders, we are getting something. That is fine. Same what I'm going to do, I'll go to order component.ts. And I'm commenting this. Commenting means I'm making sure that I'm not using the service. Okay, so I commented that, and then I'll do that for child components as well, that I'm not using the service for child 2 and then for child 1 as well. So what I'm doing here, I'm not using service anywhere in my application. All right, that log service is not used anywhere. I'm here, forget about that error, but focus in this line. I'm included in the bundle. Even if we are not using that service is not, Angular has not pre-shaked that service, and the service log service is part of your final bundle. It is being used everywhere. It is part of your final bundle, even if it is not used. Why? Because we are passing that in the provider's array. So what is the solution of that? You would say the solution of that is use providing equal to root. Okay, let us try to do that. And for that, very quickly, what I'm going to do, I'm going to uncomment these individuals so that we read the component, we read the user service again. Quickly, I'm uncommenting this. All right, and then for the orders also, quickly I will uncomment this. All right, so we are back. We are using the service, and right now, and in the child2 component also, let's go and uncomment it. So we are using the service, and we are here back, and everything is good. So right now we have different values, but service is not tree-shakable. Let us see that how we can have tree-shakable but different value. So for that, right here, first thing what you need to do, you need to go to the customer module.ts and remove from the providers array, right? Because you know that if you pass to providers array, then it is not a tree-shakable service. Same, let's go to order modules and remove it from the providers array. And same, go to app.module and remove it from the providers array. Okay, so if you remove it, now Angular will give you error because it would tell you that, hey, I don't know what is the log service because we are not providing it anywhere. And the solution of that is we would go to a log service.ts, and right here, to make it tree-shakable, we'll say provide in root. All right, so now the service should be tree-shakable. But if you go back here and run this again, all right, number of objects created 1, that is fine. I'm included in the bundle. But if you click here, you see that still now, again, you have started getting abc.com. You're not getting different values, right, for different modules. But we want different values and tree-shakable. And for that, that was the gist of my presentation. You need to use any, and that became part in Angular 9. If you put providing equal to any, means you can have different objects for different lazy loaded modules, and it is a tree-shakable service. Now, if you go and run this, right here, you have orders.com, you have customers.com, and this service is now tree-shakable. You can test that. So this is what a tree-shakable, this is what any does. What any does, that it creates different objects for different lazy loaded modules. So here you see that 3 objects being created. So if in your application there are 5 lazy loaded modules, and there is 1 main module, and there is 4 eagerly loaded modules, and you are using service with any everywhere, then Angular is going to create 1 module each for every lazy loaded module. So 4 for 4 lazy loaded modules, and only 1 module for main module and all eagerly loaded module. So total 5 modules, 5 objects that you need to keep in mind. So any is very good. It helps you to achieve tree-shakable service and pass different value to lazy loaded models. If you need to pass, let us say tomorrow you need to use some other class instead of this, you can directly apply here a huge class, and let's say that you can say updated log service. In that case, it would use a different class instead of this log service. So that is also possible, the way it is possible in providers array. All right, so this is what all I have for today presentation, and I hope you find it useful. So my name is Dhananjay Kumar. You can reach to me on debugmode@outlook.com. I'm a teacher, I'm an engineer, I'm a 11 times Microsoft MVP, so getting MVP since 2010, a Google developer expert. And you can contact me for these things: training, consulting, speaking, content creation. And I'm very proud of NG India. And thank you so much, AngularNL, whole team, and Josh for giving me time to share my knowledge and skill. I hope it was useful. Thank you so much, everyone. You are a lovely audience. Over to you, Josh.
Thanks, Dhananjay.